In the wild heart of South Africa's Sabi Sands, a legend was born, the Mapogo Lion Coalition. 6 brothers, not just any lions, but a force that would change everything we thought we knew about these animals. Named after a tough security company, the Mapogos were the ultimate enforcers, ruling with unmatched power for nearly a decade. Their story is one of brotherhood, conquest, and the rawest form of survival. They didn't just survive, they dominated, rewriting the rules of the bush. The Mapogos were more than a pride, they were an army, a phenomenon that left an indelible mark on the African wilderness. Their reign was brutal, but it was also a masterclass in teamwork and strategy. They showed that ruling takes more than strength. It takes intelligence, unity, and an unbreakable bond. Guides and trackers still whisper their name, recalling a time when the land trembled beneath their paws. The Mapogo saga is a real-life drama, more compelling than fiction, with no true heroes or villains, just the relentless struggle for life. 6 brothers stood together against the world, and for a long time they won. Their story is a reminder of the wildness that still exists, terrifying, beautiful, and unforgettable. The Mapogos were the protagonists of their own epic, a tale that deserves to be told and remembered. They were a storm that swept across the land, leaving awe and fear in their wake. Their legend endures, captivating people around the world. This is the story of the kings of the concrete jungle. The Mapogo coalition was 6 strong, 5 brothers from the airfield pride and 1 outsider, Makulu, the big one. Makulu brought experience and strength, anchoring the younger brothers as they set out to claim their place in the wild. The brothers, Rasta, Pretty Boy, Dreadlocks, Kinky Tail and Mr. T, were a rare, tightly bonded litter. Each had a role, but Kinky Tail and Mr. T would become infamous for their ferocity. Growing up together, they learned to hunt, play and fight as one, forging a bond unmatched by other coalitions. This unity was their secret weapon, the glue that held their empire together. Leaving their birth pride, in 2004 they became nomads, facing the most dangerous time for young males. But with Makulu's guidance, they didn't just survive. They thrived, growing stronger and more confident. The wilderness became their training ground, and their reputation began to spread. They were a gang of young warriors ready to take on the world. Their brotherhood was fierce, their loyalty absolute. As they roamed the Sabi Sands, they honed their skills and prepared for their legendary takeover. The stage was set for a reign that would shake the region. Their rise was not just about power, it was about family. The Mapogos were more than a coalition. They were a dynasty in the making. Their journey from nomads to kings was just beginning. The wild was about to meet its match. 6 lions, 1 unstoppable force. The legend of the Mapogos was about to be written in blood and brotherhood. Their story would become the benchmark for all who followed. The Mapogo era was dawning. What made the Mapogos so deadly? It was their numbers, 6 lions, an almost unheard of force. Most coalitions have 2 or 3, 6 was overwhelming. Resident males stood no chance against their coordinated attacks, but it wasn't just numbers, it was their ruthless attitude. The Mapogos didn't just chase rivals, they annihilated them, creating a reign of terror never seen before. They patrolled relentlessly, hunting down any threat to their rule. Their violence was legendary. Over 100 lions, including cubs, fell to them. They took the brutal practice of infanticide to an extreme, ensuring their bloodline dominated. Even hyenas, usually bold, learned to avoid them. Their roars were a nightly warning. This land belongs to the Mapogos. They ruled through fear and force, and for years no one could challenge them. Their method was simple: overwhelm, eliminate, and control. In the wild, it was brutally effective. The Mapogos were not just kings, they were tyrants. Within the Mapogo Brotherhood, 2 names struck fear: Mr. T and Kinky Tail. Mr. T, with his mohawk mane, was the coalition's enforcer. Aggressive, fearless, and always first into battle, Kinky Tail, his partner, matched his ruthlessness. Together they formed a deadly duo, leading the most violent encounters. Their bond was unbreakable, their aggression legendary. When these 2 were on the move, trouble followed. Mr. T's brutality was unmatched. He was even known for cannibalizing defeated rivals, a rare and terrifying display of dominance. This act set him apart, cementing his reputation as the most brutal of the Mapogos. Their signature move, not just driving rivals away, but hunting them down until the threat was gone. They led assaults against entire prides, overwhelming defenders with swift, coordinated attacks. The partnership of Mr. T and Kinky Tail was the engine of the Mapogo machine. Their violence was not random. It was calculated, ensuring no rival could rise against them. Stories of their savagery became legend, spreading fear across the Sabi Sands. They were the tip of the spear, the cutting edge of Mapogo power. Their reign was defined by relentless aggression and absolute dominance. In the world of lions, they were unmatched. Mr. T and Kinky Tail were the face of Mapogo terror. The Mapogos weren't just muscle. They were master tacticians. They used flanking maneuvers, cutting off escape routes and sowing chaos among rivals. Rarely together in one place, they split into smaller groups to patrol their vast territory. If one group faced danger, a roar summoned reinforcements from miles away. Their communication and coordination made their land a fortress. They scouted, observed, and struck at the perfect moment, never attacking blindly. Patience and intelligence made their takeovers almost inevitable. The Mapogos were calculating conquerors, not mindless brutes. Their blend of force and strategy made them the undisputed kings of Sabi Sands. At their peak, the Mapogos ruled a kingdom of 70,000 hectares, unprecedented for lions. They absorbed at least 8 prides, expanding relentlessly and controlling vast resources. Their rule brought a strange stability, brutal but protective for their own offspring. No rival dared enter their domain. Their reputation alone kept challengers at bay. Lionesses lived under constant threat, but also unmatched security. The Mapogos' control was absolute, their borders patrolled and enforced with violence. Guides knew the boundaries of their empire, a world governed by 6 brothers. For 6 years, their kingdom stood strong, a testament to brotherhood and will. Their empire was a living entity maintained by vigilance and fear. The Mapogo kingdom was the ultimate expression of lion power. Every empire falls. For the Mapogos, the end began in 2010. A new coalition, the Majingilanes, invaded from the south, young, strong, and hungry for power. The first casualty was Kinky Tail, ambushed and killed while alone. His death shattered the Mapogos' invincible aura. The remaining 5, led by Mr. T, sought revenge, but age and exhaustion had caught up. The Majingilanes were in their prime, the Mapogos were battle-scarred and weary. In a final confrontation, Mr. T led the charge but was isolated and killed, an echo of his own violent legacy. With their fiercest warriors gone, the remaining Mapogos were a shadow of their former selves. Makulu, Pretty Boy, Rasta, and Dreadlocks retreated, abandoning their empire. The reign of terror was over. The kings became fugitives. Their fall was as dramatic as their rise, a brutal natural cycle. The old kings made way for the new. The Mapogo era ended not with a whimper, but with a final bloody battle. Their story became a cautionary tale of power's fleeting nature. The Bushveld had new rulers, but the legend of the Mapogos would never fade. Their downfall was swift, their legacy enduring. The kings of Sabi Sands were gone, but their story was just beginning. The wild had claimed its greatest dynasty. After their defeat, the 4 surviving Mapogos scattered, their brotherhood fractured. Makulu, the patriarch, disappeared, his end a mystery. Pretty Boy, Rasta, and Dreadlocks roamed as nomads, old and scarred. Rasta vanished in 2012, leaving just 2. Pretty Boy's end came soon after, likely killed by younger rivals. Dreadlocks wandered alone, a solitary king without a kingdom. For a time he joined a younger male holding a small territory, a last flicker of Mapogo fire. By 2013, Dreadlocks too was gone, likely killed by rivals. From 6 to none, the Mapogo saga closed. Their legend, however, was just beginning to roar. The Mapogo story didn't end with their deaths, it became legend. Their saga is a raw look at power, brotherhood, and the cycle of rise and fall. Researchers and filmmakers documented their unprecedented violence and strategy, changing how we understand lions. The Mapogos became global icons, their story reaching millions. They showed the world the true, unsanitized wild, brutal, complex, and awe-inspiring. Their legacy is a benchmark for all lion coalitions. Guides still tell their tales, pointing out the lands they once ruled. The Mapogos remind us that the wilderness is a place of epic stories, of kings, kingdoms, and the relentless struggle for survival. Their echo still roars through the bushveld, inspiring awe and respect. The kings are gone, but their legend will never die.
In the sun-scorched Sabi Sand Game Reserve, a story emerged that would redefine the African lion, the Mapogo Coalition. 6 male lions, an unprecedented force, rose to power, shattering every expectation of lion behavior. Their reign from 2006 to 2012 became legendary, forcing scientists to rethink everything about lion society and dominance. Before the Mapogos, coalitions of 2 to 4 males were the norm. But 6? That was an army. They didn't just claim territory, they built an empire, controlling a vast area once thought impossible for a single group. Their tactics, violence, and strategic brilliance set a new standard for what lions could achieve. The Mapogos became the benchmark for all future coalitions, their story immortalized in documentaries and research. They were more than hunters, they were conquerors, reshaping the lion population and leaving a legacy of power and fear. The Mapogos proved that in the wild, the rules are always being rewritten by those bold enough to challenge them. The Mapogo legend began with 6 lions from the airfield pride. Makulu, Rasta, Scar, Pretty Boy, Kinky Tail, and Mr. T. Makulu, the oldest, was the coalition's anchor, while the 5 younger brothers brought raw aggression and loyalty. 6 males in one coalition was almost unheard of, giving them overwhelming power in any confrontation. Their size allowed them to patrol vast territories and dominate multiple prides at once, a feat smaller groups could never match. Each lion had a distinct role. Makulu the strategist, Rasta the powerhouse, Pretty Boy the handsome killer, Kinky Tail the relentless fighter, and Mr. T the infamous enforcer. Mr. T, with his mohawk mane, became notorious for his aggression and brutality. Together, they formed a perfectly balanced, tightly bonded unit. More than brothers, they were a strategic alliance. Their synergy in hunting and fighting was unmatched, making them a force the Sabi Sand had never seen. The Mapogos' combination of experience, youth, and ferocity created a dynasty that would rule for years. Their rise changed the landscape, leaving defeated rivals and a legacy that echoed long after their reign. The Mapogos were not just a coalition, they were a phenomenon. The Mapogos didn't just take territory, they built an empire controlling 70,000 hectares once ruled by multiple prides. Their conquest was swift and absolute, dismantling the old order and installing themselves as undisputed rulers. With 6 members, they could split up, patrol different fronts, and project power everywhere at once. They managed multiple prides simultaneously, a revolutionary feat for male lions. This vast domain gave them access to the best resources and countless lionesses, maximizing their genetic legacy. Any challenger was met with swift, brutal violence. The Mapogos ruled by fear. Their dominance created a strange stability, peace enforced by tyrants. Prides under their control were safe from outsiders but lived under the Mapogos' iron rule. The coalition's reign reshaped the ecosystem, keeping rivals at bay and changing the region's genetic future. The Mapogos didn't just live in Sabi Sand, they owned it, leaving an indelible mark on its lions and its lore. Their empire was a testament to what ruthless organization and overwhelming force could achieve. The Mapogo lions ruled with unprecedented violence, shocking even seasoned observers. Their takeover strategy was simple: annihilate all rivals, leaving no survivors. They're believed to have killed over 100 lions, males, females, and cubs, on their path to dominance. Infanticide was carried out with chilling efficiency, ensuring only their genes would survive. Their aggression extended beyond rivals. Lionesses and subadults who resisted were also targets. Mr. T especially became infamous for his savagery, often leading the most brutal attacks. The Mapogos' violence created a climate of fear, ensuring their rule went unchallenged for years. Their tactics were a stark reminder of nature's harsh realities amplified to an extreme. They eliminated competition, secured resources, and spread their genes, at a terrible cost. The Mapogos were both magnificent and terrifying, a coalition that redefined the limits of predatory power. Their reign was a dark, unforgettable chapter in the story of the wild. In the Mapogo kingdom, there was only one law: absolute dominance, enforced with ruthless efficiency. This became known as Mapogo justice, a code where any challenge or threat was met with overwhelming violence. Rival males who entered their territory were hunted down and killed, not just chased away. The Mapogos didn't tolerate defiance, even within their own prides. Lionesses who resisted or subadult males showing ambition could become targets. Mr. T was the chief enforcer, his aggression a constant reminder of the coalition's authority. Mapogo justice kept their empire in line, creating a climate of fear and submission. The term has become safari shorthand for the ultimate no-mercy law of the bush. Their rule was absolute. Negotiation was never an option. The Mapogos didn't just defend their territory, they sanitized it, ensuring no rival could survive. Their brand of justice was brutal, but in the wild, it was effective. The Mapogos' law left a legacy of order built on blood and fear. The Mapogos' success wasn't just brute force, it was strategy. They coordinated hunts and battles with military precision, outmaneuvering rivals with sophisticated tactics. Their classic move, a pincer attack. While some engaged head-on, others flanked and attacked from behind, sowing chaos. They adapted constantly, splitting into patrols to cover territory, regrouping for major battles. If a serious threat emerged, they united, delivering overwhelming force. Each lion had a role. Makulu the general, Mr. T the shock trooper. Their teamwork and adaptability made them unpredictable and nearly impossible to defeat. The Mapogos understood shock and awe, reconnaissance, and the value of psychological warfare. They were thinking predators, not just instinct-driven killers. Their reign was a masterclass in strategy, proving brains and brawn together rule the wild. The Mapogos set a new standard for lion coalitions everywhere. The Mapogo reign eventually faced its greatest test, the Majingalan coalition. Younger, stronger, and just as ruthless, the Majingalanis launched a prolonged war for control. The turning point came when Kinky Tail was isolated and killed, a devastating blow to the Mapogos. The coalition, now 5, began to lose ground as the Majingalanis pressed their advantage. Yet the Mapogos' influence endured. Their success inspired larger, more aggressive coalitions across the region. They triggered an evolutionary arms race. Now, only the biggest and best organized groups could compete. Coalitions like the Majingilanis and Birmingham Males followed the Mapogo blueprint of ruthless conquest. Even in defeat, the Mapogos shaped lion society, their story a cautionary tale and an inspiration. The last Mapogos became nomads, their battles legendary, their legacy echoing for generations. The Mapogo era changed the Sabi Sand forever. The Mapogo saga exploded beyond Africa thanks to the documentary Brothers in Blood: The Lions of Sabi Sand. Audiences worldwide were captivated by their rise, brutality, and downfall. Social media turned the Mapogos into global celebrities. Each lion became a character in a real-life drama. Fans mourned their losses and celebrated their victories, forging an unprecedented connection with wild lions. Mr. T's mohawk and Makulu's wisdom became iconic, while Kinky Tail's death was mourned by thousands. Their story brought the realities of the wild, its beauty and brutality, into public consciousness. The Mapogos inspired a new generation of wildlife advocates and conservationists. They proved the power of storytelling in the digital age, making people care deeply about individual animals. The Mapogos became ambassadors for their species, ensuring the conversation about lion conservation grew louder. Their legend lives on, bridging the gap between wild Africa and the world. The Mapogo legacy is immortal, written in the genes of today's lions and in the stories told across the world. They sired countless cubs, reshaping the genetic landscape of the Sabi Sand. The name Mapogo now means ultimate strength, ambition, and brotherhood, a gold standard for lion coalitions. Their story is modern African mythology, passed down by guides and wildlife enthusiasts. The Mapogos changed how we view and document wildlife, proving animals can be the stars of epic narratives. They inspired a new kind of filmmaking, focusing on individual lives and personalities. The Mapogos showed that animal society is complex, dramatic, and deeply compelling. They were more than a coalition. They were a phenomenon that rewrote the rules of lion society. Their empire, fame, and genetic legacy will endure for generations. The Mapogo story is a brutal, awe-inspiring chapter in the history of the wild. True kings, forever remembered.